of incident of graffiti and things like that, but it's not as if there's wholesale, bedlam on the streets and people being attacked.
No, but on college campuses. I think where you've seen a spike, which I was speaking to specifically, is college campuses. We've seen that at University of Pennsylvania, at Columbia. We've seen it at NYU.
Most of that is writing on the walls or
there's also great fear.
But putting signs up that say white.
I'm not condoning it. I just don't want to give a false impression.
No. On campuses.
I think some of it's more subtle. I don't think it necessarily gets covered by the media, but there's tremendous fear out there. I just went to a restaurant in my neighborhood, and the person came out and said, my cook's 8-year-old son came to him, and he's an undocumented immigrant, and was crying and said, "Daddy, are they going to send you away? Am I never going to have you?" And I think that fear is coursing through America, and I think it's part of the reason that you see these protests in the streets. People, when you talked about Donald Trump saying he'll change his rhetoric, it's not just that this was just campaign rhetoric where you're attacking the other side. This was bigotry, racism, hatred, misogyny, and all repeatedly. And so there's the reason people are out in the streets, and I was out in the streets with people, and I commend them for being in the streets. The reason is that people are in fear.
Andre, do you think the same people that would be commending it if it was reversed and Hillary Clinton had been elected president, and these were anti-Hillary Clinton people in the streets?
Right off the bat, I'd say, let it go, let it go.
What let it go?
If Hillary had been elected president, I would sit here with the most optimistic attitude, at least till she got in office and made some decisions, and not immediately criticize the guy. Let's come together as a country. I think what you're seeing is the emergence of the next great president. Look, he met with the President of the United States. Both of them were very humble to one another. Both of them had very good speeches that tried to unite this country together. And he's listening to other people. He's got ideas. He knows there's problems. I want to give you an example. I have an employee who was billed, his insurance company was billed $350 for a boot. He went on Amazon, the exact same boot, same company, was $59 on Amazon. There are problems that are easy for business people to address. He will do that. He knows that we need to help people with pre-existing conditions.
I just want to say about the protesters. Nobody is better at deconstructing the American left than Rush Limbaugh. And on June 30th of this year, Rush said, if Donald Trump wins the presidency, these people will be in the streets the next day.
And that's fantastic.
Protesting it. Well, the point is, here they are, and this was way back in June that he said this, and that's because we understand that this is what the American left is all
Jeff,
about.
I want to say something different, and to Andre. When Ronald Reagan was elected, and when the two Bushes, George W. Bush and George Bush Sr., I opposed their policies from A to Z. But there weren't mass protests in the street because of that. Donald Trump is different. He is
a threat.
No, excuse me. The kind of language he used, the racist language, the bigoted language, the misogyny, the attacks on people, was way beyond any other candidate.
Let me ask you, just as in terms of what you have heard, though, over the last 3 days from President-elect Donald Trump, has he said all the right things?
Let me say
on health care.
First, I hope if Hillary had won and there were anti-Hillary protesters, I would say the same thing. As long as it's nonviolent, they have the right to exercise their First Amendment right, and I applaud people for being active. I, again, credit the president-elect for setting the right, dignified tone on election night. He could have poured gasoline on something. He didn't. And I think the two things he said about Obamacare are good from my perspective. But I don't want to... I can't buy too much into that because I have concerns.
Where it goes. Monica, just very briefly, did he talk at all today about Twitter, his use of Twitter? Is that going to continue? Do you have a sense of that, Maggie? Do you have a sense of that? I mean,
well,
because
we saw it last night.
We saw last night he criticized the media, saying that they were fomenting these protests, these professional protesters, and then walked that back on another.
On his desk today, his phone was gone.
All right.
Well, he's hiding it under his pillow,
today.
I'm sure.
Last night.
That's a blessing for everybody and everything.
That was today. Last night he had 4 tweets. We wrote about this in a piece that he was still angry about on election night, I'd like to say, when he was a few minutes away from becoming the next president of the United States. He was still focused on a story the New York Times had done 2 days earlier, and he was angry about it, that we had said that his Twitter use had been restricted. Last night he clearly got it back because he did one tweet that was very magnanimous about meeting with the president, and then moments later a tweet saying that essentially these are paid actors in the streets protesting, conspiring with the media. That sounded familiar. So
what are they going to do with the nuclear codes is what I want to know. Is are they going to take those away from him if he misbehaves? That's my, that's a scary thing. He's not going to have control of his case.
We're going to end it there before we